Hello, Hawks. My name is Fiona Tomlin. I'm a class of 2016. I currently work for Booz Allen Hamilton, and I am a senior consultant and communications specialist with the firm. So I'm a communications specialist, and my current project is an international military organization. So I advise my client on strategic communications, event design and delivery, and I provide operations and admin support as needed. The role is really interesting because it involves working internationally. I had the opportunity to travel frequently to Europe until very recently with the birth of my twin daughters. But I especially enjoy that international element, working with European counterparts and the relevant nature of our work in creating a safer world. So I would say there's no typical path to the world of consulting. Obviously, it helps to have experience in the relevant field, but you can start out as a junior person learning the ropes. I came from a previous role on Capitol Hill, and before that, I worked in various veterans organizations and advocacy organizations in Washington, D.C. And I would say that my entry path to that world really began at St. Joe's, taking classes that interest me in international relations, which exposed me to the defense space and obviously military affairs. And so from there, I went on to have various related internships that set me up for some roles in DC that ultimately led to my role now as a consultant. Those 5 to 6 years of getting experience were really crucial because now as a consultant, I can leverage that experience working in the U.S. Senate and working as an advocate. Those first few years of my career were really impactful in just setting up a foundation of knowledge to help me in what I do now. So some of the skills that are necessary to be successful in my current role would be strong writing, reading, and critical thinking skills. All of those are a huge part of the liberal arts education I received as a political science major at St. Joe's. You're going to get that with any liberal arts degree, but I think political science specifically for me really emphasized theory and research, and then also social justice and relevant issues and current events, things that interest me, and then ultimately kind of put me on that path to policy advocacy and now public affairs, which is what I do now. I would also say that leadership and relationship building, community outreach, those are also really important soft skills that I gained at St. Joe's as president of a student organization, and then also just being part of the Hawk community, being an engaged member of the student body. So those years at St. Joe's kind of set me up for what I do now, in the sense that I'm continue to be engaged with the community that I work with organizing them, planning events, and also trying to be a leader in my field as well. So I would point to two fundamental formative experiences that I had at St. Joe's that set me up for my career that I have now. One is study abroad, and the other is the Washington Center internship program. So for both of these opportunities, my professors in poli-sci engaged with me and my interest, and they saw my interest in international relations and encouraged me to apply for these opportunities. I studied abroad, as I mentioned, in Belgium, where I interned for a member of European Parliament from Denmark, and that kind of pointed to my policy interest in NATO and defense, intelligence, and security, and then that led to an interest in advocacy for post 9/11 veterans and Gold Star families, which ultimately led to my working at the Senate, and then which again, everything builds on each thing. So study abroad was hugely formative for me, not just from an academic perspective and professional perspective, but from a personal enrichment perspective. I think it's important to take those opportunities when you're young to travel, to see the world, and to learn from those that are different than you are. And then I would point to the Washington Center as another very formative experience, and help prepare me for the job that I have now. The Washington Center is a program that St. Joe's, I hope, still offers its students, specifically in poli-sci, but really any major can take something from it. If you want to be in DC, it is a very premier program for internships in Washington, D.C. And then there's also some professional development activities that go along with it that allowed me to kind of plot my path to the career that I wanted in Washington. So those are two very impactful activities that I would suggest students look into if they're interested in defense consulting. Particularly if you're interested in working in Washington, D.C. But again, study abroad, that's a tip for any major, any program. So I have a couple of networking tips, actually three. The first is attitude is everything. There are so many people that you can learn from, so be open to those experiences. You never know when you can meet someone that can really help you out, or just educate you, introduce you to someone else. So be open to those opportunities and have a positive, friendly, kind, polite, curious attitude when meeting people, especially if you want to work in a town like DC. It's small enough that, it's not just it's a networking tip, but also a reputation tip. Just make sure that you're always putting your best foot forward with your attitude. The second one is to be detailed and to show initiative in the little things. That's something that helped me as an intern in DC, because I was focused on, I didn't know much, but I focused on what I did know, which was trying to, setting up, being a good teammate and setting up for an important meeting, or, just being really diligent about spelling and grammar. Those little things are going to make you or make people, trust you with bigger things. So being diligent about the smaller things can set you up for bigger opportunities down the road. And that approach helped me out. And the third is kind of an old school tip, one that my mom would probably be very proud that I'm mentioning today, but a thank you note after an interview, it goes a long way. It's a nice touch. Again, it's old school, but in a town like Washington, or really anywhere, it can go a long way to differentiate you and show that you're serious and that you follow up, that you follow through. I've been on the receiving end of that now, and I always appreciate it from a candidate. So I would say, just write the thank you note. It takes about 5 minutes and just a couple cents to buy a stamp and put it in the mail. So diversity and inclusion are very important to me. As a woman in a male-dominated field, I have really tried to seek out women mentors that I can connect with and speak about our experiences. I recently became a mom, so in that regard, it has also helped me to connect with working moms and discuss some of the challenges that we face that maybe our male counterparts haven't had to deal with, and just to have a sounding board. So I would say to create community, diversity and inclusion, to really learn about your colleagues, to be open, again, to have a positive attitude, and to be understanding that people come from various different perspectives. People also, you don't know what someone might be going through. Many different people require different accommodations at work, whether it's because of a disability, or because of their growing family. In my case, a spouse who's a first responder, who's a challenging schedule. So luckily my firm is really supportive of people from various backgrounds and very flexible when it comes to supporting its employees with work arrangements. So I would say that diversity and inclusion really go back to community and culture. If you choose a place that if you choose a place to work that emphasizes those things, then I think it makes a difference in your day-to-day life, and I highly recommend it. So some of the barriers that I've experienced in my field, I would say the biggest one is age. Um, I I think I've tried to navigate that by turning it into an asset. If you prove yourself as a young person, I think it can pay dividends, because then people turn to you when they're looking for a fresh perspective or new ideas. So I think that you can let it fuel you in a way. It is a challenge because sometimes people might not take you seriously. People might dismiss your lack of experience, but then it does go back to that attitude, having an attitude of wanting to learn, being open to what you don't know. I think is super important, and you can learn anything. So as long as you have that attitude, and also a hard work ethic, then then age is just a number, as they say. Another thing I would say about a barrier is being a woman in a male dominated field. I have had, both negative and positive experiences with that. I think, I have to say I have had more positive experiences when I have had, male colleagues and mentors who have treated me as an equal. So I think seek out those people, invest in those people, and they will invest in you. There's always, you can always find that person who's willing to have your back and invest in you. And I think that is crucial in a successful career, building a successful network. So I think that diversity and inclusion initiatives have certainly influenced me, just to be more aware of some of the um, experiences that I've had, and to be able to reflect on some elements that I have certain privileges that others don't. I think it's made me aware to those, and to make sure that I am looking out for those who come after me. Certainly in regards to my age and my gender, I think just to seek out women mentors has been hugely beneficial for me. And I hope to pay that forward as a mentor to other young women coming up in defense, just to make sure that everyone is treated with respect, and that everyone is treated equally. I do think my firm, my workplace, Booz Allen Hamilton, they do a great job of elevating women, elevating women's voices, and making sure that we see visible representation, and that women are in leadership at the highest levels of the organization. And that is important to me as someone that wants to grow my career. I think, again, representation matters. And when we see it, and we see the wonderful things that they're doing to drive our organization forward, it is quite motivating. So definitely, I've been influenced by diversity and inclusion initiatives. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily one resource or one book. I would say that it's important to be educated in a field in which you are new. So if you want to be in the defense world, I would say read up about current events, know your history, know what's going on in the world, read the newspaper, and read a variety of sources. Don't go to just one. Make sure you consult, different outlets that have different biases, and be aware of those biases, especially in my field and in communications. It's important to understand every piece of social media that you see is not necessarily verified, and it's not necessarily fact. So I would say that it's important to be educated on the field that you want to go in. So ask around within your respective field, and in defense, I would say certainly stay up to date with the news from a variety of sources. I would also emphasize LinkedIn, and not so much as using LinkedIn as um, a brag book, as I think many people do these days, putting personal information on there and personal achievements. Those are important sometimes, to highlight your achievements, certainly, but I would say that just make sure that your LinkedIn is up to date, is current, and it has enough detail that if someone were to look you up because they think of you for an opportunity, that it tells a good story. I can't, I think of many times I've had fellow Hawks reach out to me to ask about networking opportunities or just career opportunities, and I go straight to LinkedIn and look them up, and if they haven't taken the time to just have any LinkedIn profile, or I can't find them on LinkedIn, unfortunately it makes it a little bit difficult to refer them to an opportunity. So I would say keep your LinkedIn short, succinct, on point, and on topic, and current. So there are two things that I wish I knew as a student, that I think would have helped me as I charted my path. The first thing is, if grad school interests you, don't feel pressure to go straight away. I'm glad that I took a few years to find my focus. I'd also say that sometimes the time is not right. I loved my program. I went to University of San Diego's Kroc School of Peace Studies, which was interesting coming from a defense background. But I'd also say sometimes the time is not right. So even though I loved my program, I did miss out on an in-person grad school experience because of COVID. As some of you may have as students, during COVID years, you may have had to adapt to the remote experience. Which isn't a skill in itself to be adaptive, but I would say sometimes that I think it would have been okay to press pause to return in person. So although we didn't really know that was an option at the time, I would say that if grad school interests you, take the time to choose the right program, take the time to go on your own terms and in the timing that works best for you and your career. The second thing I want students to know is that there are many different functions within a field. So try out different roles. If policy interests you, it may be that you're not a policy wonk, but maybe you enjoy the public relations element of policy, or maybe you enjoy, maybe you find passion in legislation and want to become a lawyer. So I would consider many different roles within a field. It helps to know the field that you want to go in. You can always try out different roles that play to your strengths. So for me, my strengths were in writing and communications. It took me a while to find a job that really honed in on those strengths within the field of defense, that I'm now, the role that I now have. So I would say to find a space you like, then find your niche within that space and learn along the way. There are many different types of jobs. This is also where networking can help. Just doing those informational interviews, talking to people with jobs that you might like to try. They can always connect you or just help educate you about what their day-to-day looks like. So again, try different things and know that the path is not always linear to get to your ultimate goal. Final thoughts. Thank you all for tuning in. Feel free to reach out to me if I can help you or connect you to someone. Find me on LinkedIn, and good luck to you all.